What is up, people, and welcome back to another video. And yes, I know, just recently I have started making videos again. Let's just say, I'm not going to reveal all the reasons, but let's just say this year has been hell. Let's just say that. It has not been very good at all, especially in terms of school. Like, this school year was just absolutely trash. Yeah, at this point, it's made it to where I just do not ever want to go back into that school building because, wow, was it a nightmare. So yeah, I had to kind of take a break from recording videos just so I could actually get through the school year. But hopefully things are going to start to kind of turn around as summer vacation is literally right around the corner. But either way, at this point, like, school is completely over with, and I wanted to just kind of start pushing videos out again because, like, I don't know if YouTube gets onto you for not making videos if you've made a channel and you have videos before. So I don't want to get kicked off or anything. So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and start making videos again after months, if not almost a year. But either way, and if you're seeing the thumbnail and the title of this video, then you're probably realizing I'm doing something a little differently. And it's something I actually never thought to do until just here recently, because I have a whole bunch of DVD movies at this point, and I've got a lot on my DVR, so I can always do movie lists and stuff like that. But I've never actually thought to do these kind of lists until just now. But now, of course, now that I thought of it, I'm of course going to go ahead and give it a try. But because this is something new, I want your guys' opinion on this. So let me know down in the comments below if you enjoy these new kinds of videos and if I should keep going. Because if I keep going, there would be a lot of videos revolving around these kind of lists in the future. But for this first one, I was originally planning on doing a top 10 sci-fi channel movies, and I'm holding off on that for a couple reasons. The first being that there are some sci-fi channel movies that I actually haven't seen that are supposedly really good, like Frankenfish, which I actually just bought here recently on DVD, and Abominable and Dino Croc. Just movies like that people actually say are really good, and I want to kind of watch those before I prepare a top 10 sci-fi channel movies list. Plus there are so many good sci-fi channel movies in my opinion that I had to remove some stuff from that list. So yeah, it's gonna be kind of a hard list to make, especially since there are a few movies that still need to see before I go ahead and make that list. But in the meantime, I was thinking of what else to do, and something hit me. One of the rules I would probably have for that video is that I wouldn't include any movies from Syfy Channel's Maneater series, because there are so many films in the Maneater series. I feel like that series deserves a video all of its own. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do here, since, I have actually a little over 10 films. I think I have maybe 16 or 17. I've almost got the whole series. There are only a few in the series that I don't have yet. And the only really notable one is Vipers. So I almost have all of them, so may as well go ahead and do this video. So yeah, this is my top 10 Syfy Channel Maneater series films. So let's go ahead and just get started with this list. So number 10 is actually a movie I watched fairly recently. In fact, I actually just here recently, yesterday, rewatched this specifically so I could make this list. And that's Carney. Oh, let me get out of the light. There we go. But yeah, this film, I actually just recently watched this. This is one of the mainstream Maneater series films I was curious about. And I actually got this a while ago on DVD. Because, I thought I'd go ahead and watch it, and then, like a few days ago, I watched it for the first time, and I really liked it, and in preparation for this video, I actually rewatched it, and it was just as good the second time around, if not a little better. So, Carney, essentially you got these guys who are running this carnival, and in this carnival is a new attraction in the form of the infamous Jersey Devil. And of course, it gets loose, and it starts devouring inhabitants of the town, as well as people who are in the carnival. It's a fun little flick. I actually really enjoyed it. In fact, I really haven't seen any Jersey Devil flicks. Like, this is really the only like mainstream Jersey Devil flick. Like, I know there was another one, because like I've seen screenshots of like the practical effects used for the Jersey Devil in that film, but I don't know the title of it, and I just know that the Jersey Devil's in that flick. So if you guys know the movie I'm talking about, leave the name of it in the comments down below. But like, this really is the only Jersey Devil flick that I've actually seen, and it's actually really good. I actually really like the sort of different take on its design. And then there's also just a bunch of other stuff I like about this movie. Like, character-wise, this movie was essentially perfect. Like, there was pretty much no character in this movie that was bad. They were all either, they're alright, to really good. In particular, this movie gets a lot of credit from me because of its execution of a bad guy character. Because, like, creature features will sometimes have, like, bad guy characters, but most of the time, at least I find it, that they don't do a very good job with them. Like, most of the time, they're just predictable, and like they're so mean that like you just like can't you don't even feel like relatable characters at all. This movie didn't have that issue, which is very, very rare. Like, it's very rare for me not to have that problem with a movie. So I give this film a lot of credit for that. So yeah, number 10, Carney. It's a really solid movie. That's why I enjoyed it. So, number 9 is going to be Maneater. And yeah, this is part of one of the triple features, including Blood Monkey and In the Spider's Web. But Maneater is the one in particular that's on this list. I actually had a lot of fun with this movie. Like the first time I watched it, I was like, it's okay. But after watching it a few more times, I'm like, okay, this is actually really solid. It's essentially about this tiger that gets ordered through the black market, and it gets loose in this small town, and now the police force is trying to kill this tiger. Really fun flick. Like, it's worth it for Gary Busey alone, because like, yeah, this film has Gary Busey in it. In fact, let me see. Yep, you see his name there. And of course, like, I love Gary Busey as an actor, so this film was worth it for him alone. Then the tiger was also really great in it. I just love the tiger in this flick. It really has a really good start and a really good finish, this movie. Like, the middle portion is a little bit but like, start to finish, this movie is really good. And it stays entertaining the whole way through. Which is why I gotta give this movie a lot of credit, because, like, despite the fact that you can kind of tell that it's like a cheap made-for-TV movie, it stays entertaining, and it's actually really fun to watch. And plus, the tiger in it is actually a real tiger. There's no CGI used in this, which is like really good, because you know how Syfy Channel CGI typically is. Just overall, a really fun flick, and that's why it's number 9 on this list, because it's just fun. It's just a fun movie to watch. Okay, and then number 8. Now, this is a movie I actually saw like a long time ago, back when I was really into Syfy Channel, like as a kid. But I never ever saw it in full until like this year, when I actually got a chance to finally watch it again, and that is Malibu Shark Attack. Yeah, now, this film was just a lot of fun, and it highlights like my number one thing when it comes to the Maneater series, and that's originality. Because, like, this is literally the only film that I've seen that has used goblin sharks, and that's just a really creative new thing to sort of use, goblin sharks. Especially since these sharks are either extinct or lay at like the very, very bottom of the ocean. So this film gets a lot of points for creativity. But essentially, you got these lifeguards and these carpenters that get trapped in these two facilities by a tsunami, and in the floodwaters are these goblin sharks. It's just a really fun flick. Like, really, the only complaint I would have about this movie is the bad CGI. Because, like, other than that, like, the goblin sharks themselves look really creepy. Characters are all really good. It's acted well. It's just a fun little flick. I really enjoyed this movie. That's why it's number 8. Now, number 10 is, or no, not number 10. Number 7 is Yeti. Now, this is actually one of the rarer movies to find with the slipcover. I was just lucky enough to find one that I could peel the sticker off. So, this part right here is a little sticky. That's where the sticker was. But I actually first saw this on YouTube because this is one of those that's free to watch on YouTube, courtesy of the people who post these movies. And it's actually a really fun, really good flick. A lot of practical effects in it, which is kind of odd because, this was made in, I think 2018? Or not 2018, 2008? Like, back when Syfy Channel was kind of shifting over from practical effects to CGI. And it's really surprising that this was mostly practical effects to me, especially like the practical Yeti suits, all the practical gore, some practical plane effects. It was just really good in terms of the practical effects in this movie. Kills are all nice and gory too. Like, I had a lot of fun with the kills. Like, this has some of the best kills in the series right here. Essentially, you got these people who are on their way to Japan in a plane. And in this snowstorm, the plane crashes in the Himalayas. And then you got this rescue team who is coming to get them after noticing that the plane has gone down. And now all these people have to survive against these Yetis. Again, really fun flick. It's just a lot of really good practical effects, lots of good gore, got some good acting in there. It's just a really fun flick. And I really love this movie, especially just for like all the practical effects. Like, practical effects wise, this movie was just awesome. It's a great little film. That's why it's number 7. A lot of fun. So now at number 6 we have Behemoth, and yes, this is the other triple feature that I just happen to have. And I got this triple feature for the back artwork on it, because like all these films, like these triple features have like little backside artwork, and the backside artwork for this is really cool. Like the one that includes Behemoth, Roadkill, and Ferocious Planet. But the first time I saw this film, it was just awesome. Like those moments when I saw the Behemoth like rising from that hill, I just thought, oh man, this is cool. And it stayed really cool for like the second time I watched it. It was just a really cool flick, especially for like how it kind of slowly develops from like this kind of like natural disaster flick to eventually turning into this giant monster flick. It's just a really neat little build up to it. And it's really well executed too. And yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like, look at that back artwork. That is just sick. That is awesome. Essentially, you got this town like on the edge of like what used to be a dormant volcano, and you got these research teams who are investigating like signs that might be the volcano waking up. But instead, when like what they think is an eruption happens, instead you get this giant monster that comes out of the hill and comes to essentially try to wipe out humanity. It's a really cool flick. Like, effects wise, this was pretty good. In the just the scenes with this Behemoth monster was just really cool. Like, this film as a whole was just really cool, and I loved it. Like, first time I watched it was just awesome. I had a blast with this when the first time I watched it. It was pretty good the second time I watched it too. So, yep, Behemoth Sorry about that. That was my dogs. But yeah, Behemoth, really solid pick, and that's why it's my number 6. It's a fun little movie. Then number 5 is going to be Wyvern. Now, this was another one of the little mainstream Maneater flicks in the series that, like, I was just super interested in. And eventually I watched it on Tubi, and I really enjoyed it. And I've watched this movie quite a bit since I first saw it. Just really, really cool flick. Like, about this, like, little Alaskan town that is terrorized by this wyvern. And I love, like, the little, like, story about the wyvern, because it's actually kind of based off the Norwegian folklore that the wyvern comes from. Like, I love how it, like, gets free after it melts out of this, like Arctic ice sheet. It's just a really cool film. Like, effects-wise, it was really good. Character-wise, it was also really great. Like, the character... I in particular loved all the characters in this, and it's a real shame one of them had to die, because, like, I really liked that guy. It's a shame he had to go. And it's a shame Syfy Channel has that kind of problem where they like to kill off characters that I enjoy. But even with that, it's just a really fun film this is, and in particular, I love the ending of this flick. The ending is just insane. If you want to go watch this film, once again, it's available on Tubi, so if you want to just go watch it, go right on ahead, because it is just a fun little flick, and the ending is really satisfying. So I highly recommend this flick, like, for the ending, but also just for, like, the sheer entertainment value, and just for how sick, like, the wyvern looked in this movie. Like, I loved the look of the wyvern. But either way, Wyvern, really fun movie. That's why it's number 5. Alrighty. Number 4 is Sea Beast. And I love the kind of, like, blue cover art on this one. It's really neat. Essentially, you got this like, coastal town that is terrorized by these amphibious sea beasts, which are really cool creatures, because, like, they're, like, almost like humanoid, almost like amphibian, almost like sea monster. It's just a really cool mix of things, and they can, like, camouflage, they can spit venom, they can climb really well. It's just this film has some really cool creatures in it, and really good effects as well, because, like, the first time I watched this movie, I could not help thinking, it really feels... Okay, screen flipped up for a second, but, like, the first time I watched this movie, I could not help thinking, it feels like I'm watching, like, an episode of the BBC series Primeval, if any of you guys have watched that, because, like, CGI effects are very similar, and, like, the creatures in this are so creative that I feel like they should have been, like, future creatures, like in Primeval. It's like, it was just really neat. I felt like I was actually watching an episode of Primeval just by watching this. So really cool, like, nostalgic part of the Maneater series right here. And it turns out to be a really fun flick when you actually watch it, because, like, again, you got the cool creatures, you got a lot of cool characters, some cool kills. Effects-wise, it's pretty dang good. You even got some, like, limited practical effects in there. It's just a really fun flick, and this was just a lot of fun to have, and just a lot of fun to watch. So, highly recommend this little flick, Sea Beast. That's why it's number 4. Alright, now, on to the top 3 now. Like, I've always known, like, what my top 3 from this series is, because, like, I've had, like, 3 movies in this series that I've always, like, loved more than the others. But number 3 is going to be Hybrid. Now, I checked out this movie mainly because, like, I was interested in, like, Syfy Channel's mammal flicks, because, like, you know, Syfy Channel doesn't tend to release a lot of mammal flicks, but this was incredibly solid. I love this movie. Essentially about this guy, Aaron Skates, who gets blinded in an explosion, and then has his eyes replaced with the eyes of a wolf in a transplant. But of course, seeing the world through the eyes of an animal turns out to be not exactly the best thing. And he kind of develops into this, like, carnivorous creature that begins to see things like humans as prey, and eventually he turns to this like Native American girl and this wolf pack to help him control his new animal instincts. It's just a really cool little flick, and I've always enjoyed this like ever since I first watched it because it was just such a cool concept, and it was just a really cool flick, like talking about like the clinical lycanthropy, like human psychology along with like a little bit of animal psychology. It's just a really fun, just a really cool flick, and I really enjoyed it as a result. So highly recommend this if you haven't seen this. But Hybrid, that's my number 3. Number 2 is going to be Croc. Now I got this like in like a little like 3-pack because it came with like Eye of the Beast and Grizzly Rage. But this movie in particular is easily the best out of that pack because and it's definitely like the best reptile film in the series. Essentially, you got this like little coastal town in Thailand that is being stalked by this man-eating crocodile. Then you got these people at like this like croc farm and this hunter who go out to kill the giant croc. It's just a really fun flick, and I really enjoyed the characters in this one. I enjoyed them to the point that I actually like cared whether or not they lived or died. Like especially like in that scene where like the main character's sister got targeted. I was just like, please God, no, please God. So it was really well done character wise. Effects wise was also pretty good because like it was a mix of like practical CGI and real, and it all looked really good because like of course the real and practical crocs looked good, but then you've got the CGI, which isn't that bad. Like it looks funky in some scenes, but in other scenes it actually looks really solid. And in terms of just like effects overall, effects wise, this movie was actually a really solid flick. I actually really enjoyed this. So yeah, it's just a really fun flick overall, and one of my favorite crocodile flicks. In fact, it reminded me a lot of Lake Placid when I first watched it. Like it essentially felt like Lake Placid, except it was set in Thailand, and I really love Lake Placid. So the fact that this had a similar feel was just awesome, and this whole movie as a whole was just awesome. I highly recommend Croc, and that's why it's at number 2. But then, number 1, and funny enough, this was actually the first film in the Maneater series that I watched, and it was just a lot of fun, and I have adored it ever since then. That's Hellhounds. Now, this movie, to me, was just a lot of fun. Really, really cool flick in terms of, like, going back to, like, the time of ancient Greeks and, like, telling a story about, like, the Greek gods. It had, like, almost like a Percy Jackson feel, but then towards the end, it, like, switched into, like, a creature feature flick. It was really neat. Like, CGI-wise, this was not bad. Like, not bad at all in terms of its effects. Character-wise, it was actually really cool. And there was just a lot of really well done practical stuff in here, like, in terms of, like, the underworld. It was just really, really neat overall. And I particularly loved the Hellhounds in this. The Hellhounds were, like, easily one of the best parts of this. But essentially, you got this like, Greek warrior whose bride is poisoned and ends up being chosen by Hades to be his bride. And so he and his friends venture into the underworld to retrieve her soul. And again, it's just a really fun flick. And I highly recommend this. Like, in my opinion, this is a must-watch and definitely a must-own. So if you ever see this flick, like, on the shelf and you think, I don't know if I should get it, pick this up because I highly recommend it. It is easily my favorite film in the Maneater series, and that's why, for me, it's an easy, solid pick for number 1. But either way, guys, that's going to be all from me for today. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment, leave a comment down below saying if you did or not, and also like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I will see you in the next video.